here we go. It worked, I think. Welcome, everybody. How you doing? All right, so we got Jeff with Jay. Welcome, man. Can I explain to a layman like myself how a compressor should be used? There's no right or wrong with any effects, right? But the idea of a compressor, I guess, is to bring up the quiet parts you're playing and bring down the loud parts. So you get a very constant signal, and it sounds louder to your ear because everything that would be picked quietly sounds the same as how you set it for the loudest part. So it kind of balances everything out. So yeah, that's all they really do. That also increases the noise floor. So if you've got a lot of buzz, it's going to give you more buzz. You can also use them as a lead boost as well. There's a lot of ways you can use a compressor. There's some of them have like a sustain control where it feels like you get more note because you're getting more volume, basically. All right, we got Glenn. How you doing? Have I ever tried the Marshall Eminence little Texas speaker? Done any reviews on anywhere? You know what? That's one speaker that I haven't tried. So no, I'm really keen on giving it a shot, but as of right now, I haven't tried it. Jamal, welcome, man. We got Max. How you doing? All right, we are live. Looks like it's all good. So welcome, everybody. Hope everyone's doing all right with everything that's going on everywhere. So last live stream, I got asked to play the Fender Twin. So that's what I'm doing. And we got this Dan Electro 84 Strat. Figured it might sound pretty good together. Hopefully that sounds all right. So let me know if the tones are all good, if anything's clipping or doing anything weird. Hey, Sean, thanks. Sean is Cubs fan 1 says, hey, Shane, what do you think of the mini Silver Jubilee amps? Any chance of review on them? I can get my hands on some of those. So, well, if the shop was open, I'd be able to. So, yeah, let me see what I can do. I think they're pretty good. I remember Dr. Rick was really close to buying one of those, like really close. I think we went back the following day and it was sold, so he missed out. But yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool amps. If you like, you know, if you're into the Marshall tone, they're definitely cool. Yeah, I think they're like what are they, like 20 watts, 25 watts or something like that? So thanks for that, mate. I appreciate it. Hey, Shane, keep rocking. Thanks, man. We've got SM5M2 Midnight. Morning from Melbourne. Welcome, mate. How do I'm not sure what you're saying, CFS. Sorry, just a couple of typos in there, I think. We've got Rob from Poland. Welcome, mate. Cheech from Nevada. So I've got my comments here. It's a bit awkward, but I tell you what, coming up probably in May, I'm going to have a little bit of a new live setup for doing this sort of stuff. The whole thing's going to change. So I've been waiting on this for a while. Once my internet catches up with the technology, we'll be good to go. Let me just scroll down here. Hello, Dr. Jekyll says, hi all, and Shane, keep rocking and stay healthy. Thanks, mate. You too. Appreciate that. welcome man. He says, best affordable aftermarket P90s. You know, I've never actually bought a set of P90s from anyone. They've always been the ones that have come in the guitar. I would just check the typical sources. You know, like Tone Riders are pretty good for value for money. But I know if it was me doing that, I'd probably just get a set of Gibsons. You know, I really feel like they nail the P90s and they nail the burst buckers or PAF style pickups. There's a lot of independent pickup builders. You know, there's MJS pickups and Tyson Tone pickups and a whole lot of other. There's a million different pickup builders, but you know, if you want that sort of Gibson sound, for example, just get their pickups. I think that would be the safest way of doing it, and that's exactly what I would do if I was in a situation now where I needed a new set of humbuckers. I'd buy burst buckers because I know they're great. You're always taking a risk anytime you buy pickups, and especially if you're buying pickups from like other manufacturers. They can say they're the same specs, but sometimes you get them and you're not always like impressed with the sound. So yeah, I would be more inclined to do that. Let me go down here. What's the difference between the blues scale and the pentatonic scale? Well, yeah, I think the main thing, what they typically call the blues scale, is there's passing notes. I've spoken about this before. So if you're playing like, you know, what I would consider the blues scale is all the notes that would fit into the major. So, and that sounds really weird, right? But they work. Yeah, all of those. I don't know. There's like flat fives and stuff in there or something like that. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe not flat fives, but yeah, there's that sort of. It's basically just play all the notes in that area and find what works. Because a lot of the time, you know, you're in B. There's a lot of those notes that aren't in that straight up pentatonic, so there's a lot of passing notes. Just watch Clapton; he does that a lot. Hello from Aubrey. Welcome, Ryan. We've got, let me scroll down here. Michael, welcome, mate. How do I learn swapping and holding the pick? So it's just something that I worked out over time. You know, like I hold it like this. Does that work? So it sort of fits in my finger joins. And that gives me pretty much full functionality of, you know, to be able to finger pick. Then I can just go straight to the pick. It's just something you'll learn over time. Like you just got to try to find somewhere to hold it. And for me, usually my middle finger is where it's easiest for me just to sort of hide it away like that. So yeah, there's no right or wrong. I don't even pick correctly, right? I pick on the side of the pick, the fat side, not on the point. I much prefer the feel of this side, as you can see from all the wear. So yeah, that's kind of like my the way I do it. And I don't hold it like you're probably supposed to, like this. I just hold it like that as well. So I don't really care too much for how it's supposed to be done. There might be some limitations to it, but I don't know, man. I just, yeah, hold it however works for me. And then I can just use my thumb and push it back out nice and quickly. Cass, welcome in. Katana Artist versus Studio Pro 112 Red Stripe. What do you think? It just depends. I always say that the biggest consideration is if you already have a pedal board, then go for the Peavey. If you don't, then go for the Katana, because then you get all those extra effects in there already. That's usually the deciding factor between one or the other. If you already got your effects sorted out, you don't need more effects in an amp. That's my 2 cents on it. Hope all is well, Shane. Hope all is well, Shane. Sorry. How are you keeping busy during the lockdown? I'm just making videos. I'm practicing. I'm recording a little bit. I'm working on this new project with a lot of other YouTube channels. I'm not going to give it away right now, but yeah, I had this idea for a long time and it's finally on the way. So stay tuned. You're in for a treat. I get asked to collaborate with a couple of guys all the time. Like, are you ever going to do something with this guy or that guy? And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to. So I just said, you know what? This is the perfect time for everybody to get on board. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just keeping busy. I mean, for me personally, I'm used to this. You know, November and December. I mean, I'm used to going out and going to the gym, which kind of sucks. I really miss that already. But the thing for me is I'm sort of used to working from home, so it doesn't feel that weird. I'm just used to it. And that's, you know, 4 or 5 years I've been doing this now, and I don't really miss going to the office or anything. I love working from home, so I keep myself busy. I'm working on a few other projects. It's been a really good time for me to get all the boring stuff done, like going through my receipts, putting them into the spreadsheet, you know, in terms of what comes in and out and all that kind of stuff. Just all the boring stuff is getting done. I just found out now I'm not going to get my refund on my car, which sucks. I literally got an email 2 minutes before this stream started, so I'm gonna have to sort that out. I was waiting 2 weeks for this refund on my car hire for the States, but it doesn't look like it's going through, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to sort that out. But yeah, I keep myself busy. I'm used to working from home, so yeah, I'm just upping. I guess I'm upping my output a little bit now. I'm trying some different videos, and you know, it might not all appeal to everybody, but I just figure I'll just keep busy. I'm also making more videos on my tech channel now as well, while I got time. While you are forced majeure. Love the look of that Dan Electro. That's from Guy. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's funny, you know, when I did the big purge, I thought for sure I was going to sell this because I was on the hunt for another Strat. My white Strat sold so fast, like it just went, and I picked this up and I took it out of the case. I was going to take photos of it, and I just went, I think I'm going to keep this. Like the tremolo arm's great. So yeah, it just feels good. So I think I'm going to hold on to this one. This is by far my favorite of the Dan Electros. For my style of playing, I really dig it. Hey Shane from South Dakota, hope you're doing well. What's the good combo amp for a cover band that plays a wide variety of music? Must be able to keep up with a loud drummer. Get a Marshall DSL 40. It's a great clean channel. You can use pedals. Killer drive channel, like unbelievable. And if you don't have pedals, you can still use it. So yeah, that'll do all the classic rock stuff, and it will do blues. It will do clean. It will do everything. You know, you could go for something like a Fender bass breaker as well, but I don't know how they're like reliable long term yet. But my Marshall's built like a tank. All right, I'll take these super chats and then we'll go back up and take all the other questions. Sorry, guys. I don't want them to expire. That's all. This is from Lefty Mike. Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. He says, would there be a problem running a dirt pedal in front of a multi-effects unit like the Boss ME80? Impedance problems or anything like that? Usually you can do that. I had a Line 6 M13, right, which had more buttons than a bloody, like a haberdashery, as my friend used to say. That was his joke. So there were buttons all over that thing. It was all digital. There was no analog circuitry in there. At least I don't think there was, other than maybe the true bypass thing. But yeah, it was all digital. But I used to run my overdrives into that and then out with the delays. And then I realized I didn't need the big pedal. So yeah, you can do that on the most part. If you're stacking it with, say, and if it's the Boss ME80 should be fine with that stuff. Boss, think about that. So yeah, I don't think there'll be any problems pushing the signal through that. Not at all. I'd just watch it with something like a volume boost cranked. Just it could get a little bit splatty sounding, but you're not going to damage it. That's the main thing. At least not to with my experience there. Rob Canter, is it? Says, thanks, mate. I appreciate that as well. He says, can you please show any cool chord progressions to loop it and jam? Are you great for thanks for doing this channel. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I actually don't have a looper on the floor. I'm plugged physically into amp back here today, which is the twin. So I was gonna say the super reverb. It's the Fender Twin Tone Master. So I don't really have any actual looping pedals with me. But one of the cool things you can think about when you play with a loop is really focus on your time. So if you can play something simple like, and then as you're about to pick, you hit the pedal. So as you come back to that first chord, and that's the same with anything. Just be really cautious of your timing, or you can play a riff. You can just go like, you could click it on, click, and then you've got that going. Then you can start layering it up. Yeah, so think about it in terms of the bass loops, at least with the way I approach looping, which I've done on the channel for videos and stuff, is you've really got to be conscious of the rhythmic qualities of whatever you're playing. It's harder than you think too, because it really forces you to play on time. If you make a mistake rhythmically, it just keeps repeating that mistake all the way around. So I apologize I don't have a looper, but that's the best explanation for, if you guys check out some of my looping videos, I'm always conscious of exactly the timing of not only my rhythm parts, but making sure that as I'm about to resolve the chord progression, I click it back on. It just takes a bit of practice as well. So yeah, it is a bit difficult, but I appreciate the super chat, guys, but I apologize for not having a loop pedal. Let me just scroll back up here. Ayantu Youssef says, hey Shane, what should I check before buying a new guitar? So it's a pretty subjective thing. I did a video years ago called seven things you should look for when buying a used guitar, and a lot of those things would apply to a new guitar as well. And just last week, excuse me, sorry, I just had some caffeine. Just last week, I posted a video called 9 Things I Look For When I Buy a Guitar, 10 things or something like that. And they're things that are inherently like what I look for in a guitar, which may vary for you, but it might give you some ideas. So check that video out. It's like the thumbnail's just a whole lot of guitars, basically. Have a look at that, because then I talk about neck feel and things I don't want on a guitar as well, whether it be really small frets, just everything like that. So that's probably the easiest explanation. Check that out. I talk about, the neck shape I like, the fret type, toggle switches, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm pretty fussy when it comes to electric guitars, and other times I find one that is the exact opposite of what I think I'm looking for, and I love it. It's happened a few times. So, yeah, don't always let your preconceived notions of what you think you love stop you from finding a great guitar, because I always go back to that PRSSE back here, wherever it is. Is it back here? Yeah, it is. It's right behind me. That was a guitar that shouldn't have been as great for me as it was, based on it had a lot of stuff on there that I wasn't used to, but it's great. So I locked off with a pair of Harley Benton, humbucker size P90s by a company called Warman. Hadn't heard of them before. Nice pickups, good price. There you go. That's cool. That was in regards to a pickup question earlier. That's cool. Hello, Dr. Jekyll says, thanks, Sebastian. I feel the same way about it. Sometimes you just got to chance it, Gassing here for a tally. Yeah, tallies, man. Tallies are where it's at. It's funny. I'm really keen on getting one of those 50s Strats at some point as well. I can't wait to try one of those again and see if it's as good as I remember. But yeah, you get the gas. I think part of the lockdown thing's making people look online a lot more about thinking about, oh, I wonder if I should get that guitar. But yeah, I've been playing a lot, man. It's been good. Just sort of jamming to backing tracks and all that kind of stuff. Playing clean today, so you're going to hear all the mistakes. I actually didn't know what key I was in until I looked. Jerry James, welcome. Hey Shane, you should try the Swamp Thing in the DSL 40. You know what? I really want to, and I think it'd be an absolutely great match just from my experience playing that speaker, both speakers a lot, actually. So yeah, part of me is, the thing with me is like, I always found the Marshall just a hair on the bright side with the Celestion that was in there, but it rocked at loud volumes. But getting a really pleasing live sound was hard for blues at volumes that weren't sort of chopping everybody's head off. So the Texas Heat kind of shaved that top end off. But you're right, I really think that the Swamp Thing would be one of the best speakers for that amp. And if I ever tried another one, that's what I would put in there. Now that I know that the Tonka wasn't the perfect match for it. Sweetwater has 127 lefties at the moment. Wow, that's cool. You know, part of me was looking at, you know, I was going to go to, what's it called, Southpaw Guitars in Houston. And I was talking to Jerry, the owner of that shop, and he's like, oh, I'll put aside one of those Epiphone Casinos because I know everyone's been telling me you've been looking for one for a while. I said, all right, I'll check it out when I get there, but that's not going to happen. But that would be another guitar I'd like to try out, but I'd love to play it first. You know, I don't like always buying guitars I haven't played personally. It's not how I like to roll. Because of these problems I was talking about earlier, I'm a little fussy with certain things, but then again, it might just be fine. So, wow, sorry, holy crap! I just realized the chat was way further down than I thought. Let me scroll down here. Someone's asking about, do I have any suggestions on a very good, inexpensive wireless remote? I had a bug, but it broke quickly. Wireless remote. Are you talking about like just a wireless pack? You know, this pack's probably my favorite, and not because they sent it out, but because I've tested all of them. I must have tested 10 different wireless packs in the last 2 years. This one, Nuex. Nuex make great stuff. I always say like how good their stuff is. So yeah, you get a case. That's what I'm using right now too, by the way. So you can see that it works well in a Strat as well, which some of them don't fit properly. You get a case that also you can charge the case, and it will you can then charge the units without having anything plugged in. So you get a full couple of charges just with the case. But this works really well. My favorite wireless pack of all time, though, is the Line 6 Relay 30. That is the most reliable unit I've ever had. I bought it in, I think, 2010 or 11, and I've had it all those years, and it's been unbelievable. It never cuts out. It just never does anything weird. So in terms of the smaller, less expensive ones, the Nuex, hands down, this is easily my favorite. Peyote Pete says, I love your content. Cheers, Shane. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. If I stutter sometimes when I read, there's typos, and I know people are always using their phones too, which is fine. But if you see me sort of get caught up when I'm reading comments, I'm like, is that or I miss like what would normally be a full stop. Have I heard about the Vox Cambridge 50 amp with the new tube technology? I haven't, no. But yeah, Vox amps are pretty cool, man. I've been sort of eyeing iron up some Vox AC10s just to sort of see what they're worth, and Vox would be cool. I'd love one of those Mesa Boogie or Mesa Boogie Californian tweed amps, but they're so expensive here, man. Like $4,000. So that's off the table. But Vox, those, you know what? I think those YouTube amps are a little underrated. You know, I got to test one of their 150 watt ones a while back, which had like 3 channels or something like that. I can't remember exactly the model, but it was a monster. It was a really, really solid amplifier. So, yeah, I think they kind of get a little bit frowned upon by the snobs. And I was probably a bit like that until I played one. I went, it's actually really good. I think the one I played had both one or more in the preamp section and also in the power amp section. So it sounded great. Hey, here we go. David says, noticed you're using the Cerebus more in the videos and live, especially after the Bluesbreaker video. Have you fallen in love with the Bluesbreaker? The Bluesbreaker was an amazing pedal, and thank you for the super chat, by the way, mate. The new X Cerebus, I'm going to do a video about this. I actually filmed it, but I'm going to redo it because I didn't explain myself properly. I think that might be the closest thing to the best all-in-one pedal out there. Like, from the ones that I've tried, right? And even though it has its limitations, it's such a great pedal. It really is. And I probably didn't test it enough when I first got it to understand it enough. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you got to just fiddle around a bit more and get it to work. But there's a few things about that pedal I love. I can run it into my amplifiers and mic them up and get a great tone at a low volume. There's that. It's got all the delays in the world. You can use the 4-cable method. It's almost perfect. It really is. There's a few things about it I would love to be able to change. But yeah, it is an absolute beast. It really is. So in terms of the Bluesbreaker is a great pedal. I just won't be buying one. You know what's funny though, just speaking about pedals and how expensive some of them are. I sold a Fender or Boss Fender FRV1 reverb pedal, maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago. I didn't even look at how much they're worth now. They're up to $700, and I sold mine for, which is ridiculous. They're not worth $700, but I sold mine for like $150, and I was like, oh, I got my money back. Awesome. You know, like I didn't think too much about it because it was a pedal I wasn't using. And yeah, I looked on eBay last night and saw them pop up, and I was like, $700? Like, who's paying $700 for a digital reverb pedal? But obviously there's people out there that are doing that. But yeah, great reverb pedal, but $700. You can get a Strymon or anything else for that price. You can get an all-in-one pedal. But anyway, yeah, thank you for the super chat. And I just went off on a tangent there. But the Cerebus is a beast. I'm really, really enjoying it. If I was to play anything other than my pedal board live, I would take that over any of the other all-in-ones. That's just my 2 cents about it. Hey, so we got 150 folks here. We got 44 likes. Can we get it to let's overachieve. Let's go for 90. Can we go to 90? That'd be awesome. If you're enjoying this, I'm gonna try and get through everybody's question. If I have missed it, feel free to ask again too. It's a little bit tough to always keep an eye on all of the questions. I don't intentionally miss any of them either. Sometimes YouTube also filters them for me, which is weird, but if I miss anything, feel free to ask again. Extreme Lefties in Tampa is another place to go. Thanks, Fat Philosopher. Hope you're well, man. Yeah, that's another place I had on my list. So that's 5-watt mode on the Fender Twin. I got it mic'd up with the Behringer SM57, which a video will be coming up next week about, or what week is it? This week, maybe. Yeah, so hang in there. I got some different kind of videos coming up. I don't get a lot. Obviously, there's not a lot of stuff getting shipped at the moment and all that, and I don't have access to the shop as it's currently closed. So, yeah, most of the stuff I'll be posting is just either stuff I haven't already done videos for. I've got a few things that have been sitting in the cupboard for a while, and a few other concept videos I've been thinking about doing. So, yeah, that'll be the next project, I guess. Jose, welcome, man. Greetings from Southern California. Hope you're well. That's awesome. Fellow lefty here. This is from Matthew. He says, looking to add a decent, is that above $1,000 guitar to my lineup? Oh, sub, maybe. Okay. Would you recommend the PRS Custom 24 or a Fender Player Strat? Picking a guitar, man, it's a personal thing. Like, you got to work out which you like the sound of better. I think that's, so sub $1,000 guitar. Both of those are solid instruments. So if you can get a PRS SE and you love it, go for it. I love the Custom 24s. You get extra frets. They're easy to play all the way up. They're just an easy guitar to play. The only small thing that I mentioned about it that I didn't like straight off out of the box was I had to tighten the tuners up on the side of the pegs. But I mean, that's just a minuscule thing, right? So the Fenders are probably the Player Series stuff, probably the best, most consistent range of guitars you can buy for that price. Because I don't think all Custom 24s are, I could be wrong, but I've seen comments of people going, I didn't like mine because of this. I don't often see that about Fender Player Series stuff. Most people say they're great. How they cut costs, obviously where they're made, but also in some of the hardware too. But they don't put junk in them either. So you just got to work out whether or not you want to play a Strat and have that sound, or you want the PRS sound. So look at your influences. I really think that's the easiest way to determine what you should be going for. Do you already have a guitar that does that type of sound? Yes or no? And what is it that you like listening to? If you like Strat players, then you probably will prefer playing a Strat. If you want something different, the PRS is definitely different. I know it's hard and confusing when you're a beginner or intermediate player, like, oh, what should I buy? Should I get this or that? It just comes down to what you prefer and what you love the sound of the most. So that's how I would approach it. Hey, Todd, welcome, man. He says, I bought one of those Epiphone casinos. If you want, you can borrow it and see if you like it. Only condition is you can't do it with Pete Townsend on it. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's cool. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun guitar to check out. So thanks for that. We need Robert Baker to join. He'll get here at some point, hopefully. Nah, look, he's probably got stuff going on too. So let me just scroll down. Have I tried the Hot Tone Ampero? I have, absolutely. Overall, it's a pretty solid piece of kit. I did a full write-up review of that at guitarpedaldemos.com. Just type in Ampero in the search. It'll come straight up. It's been, I'm going to say, 2 years since I tried that thing. So I'm close to that anyway. I remember the build quality was really, really good. It still suffers the same sort of inherent issues I have with a lot of these all-in-one pedals where, and that's in terms of the digital ones, you still got a menu dive to get stuff done. And that's all right if you're just playing at home and you're playing into the computer or whatever. But yeah, it still suffers those. But in terms of actual like quality of tone and all that, it's really, really good. Hey, Lando, welcome, man. We've got, scroll down here. Craig, thank you, man. Says, hey, Shane, do you still recommend the Artist Tweet Tone 20 over the Blues Junior? Also found an overdrive pedal for a Strat. Would you choose the Stardust, the Tube Screamer, or the VS Straight Flush? Oh, there's some good questions there, man. So I love the Artist Tweet Tone. It is such a great amplifier. I would take it over a Blues Junior in a live situation, hands down. Even at home, I think you get more gain if you want it, but you don't have to have it. It never sounds fizzy. You get a master volume. You get a dedicated clean channel. and that dedicated drive channel, digital reverb, which is, some people might go, oh, why would you take digital over spring? If you look at the Blues Junior 3s, which were a great sounding amp, but a lot of them, not all of them, had an issue with the reverb tanks rattling and oscillating and making scratchy sounds out. You play a note and then you'd hear this scratchy sound. That happened on 3 in a row for me, so I ended up just taking it back and getting my money back. But I think the Artist Tweetone 20 is a monster of an amplifier. I really do. I like it better than the Cream Tone one, and I like it personally better than the Blues Junior. Also, for a Strat, would I choose the Stardust, the Tube Screamer, or the Royal, or the Straight Flush? I think one of my favorite pedals of all time is the Stardust. Actually, it's right back here for a Strat. It's great. But it's not the most high gain of pedals, right? So if you want a bit more gain, the Straight Flush or the Tube Screamer would be the way to go. And then it just comes down to which one do you like more. If you don't want your high end to be cut at all, because the Tube Screamers have that vintage EQ where it rolls out the top end, then go for the Straight Flush. I'd probably take the Straight Flush over a Tube Screamer if I had to do one or the other, only because you can roll the top end out a little bit, but you get more gain. You really do, and that might be something that you want. The Stardust is the classiest of them all in terms of tone, but it's not as high gain as the other one, so just keep that in mind. And thanks again, Craig. I appreciate that. A lot of this sort of stuff is subjective, but they're the considerations that I would be aware of. So hopefully that helps. Why do lower watt amps have such small speakers? Can't they be 112s? They do. There are some out there like that. That's a good question. Usually if the speaker's too efficient and the amp's not, it can go both ways, right? Like you can get a big sound out of say a 5-watt amp or even a 1-watt amp head can sound great through say a 2x12, but they're probably price considerations more than anything else. I would say that some of the best small amps would be, like something like the Vox AC10, the Marshall DSL20, because it switches down to 10 watts. So you get that, and that's got a 12-inch speaker in there as well. So that might be something that would work for you. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is sort of, I guess lower watt amps are generally like practice amps more than anything. And the history of them since the dawn of the day of amps have been, you want a small amp, you get this or that. They're always physically small too. So, yeah. Hey, Stop No Names. Welcome, mate. Hey, Shane. Welcome from Folsom. I don't know what X-May 1 is. Is that the date? I know. I'm not too sure. Marshall DSL 40 versus 20 watt. So you've really just got to work out how much volume you need. If you're playing at home, the DSL 40 is probably overkill, right? I mean, I can get away with it at the house here, but if you live in an apartment, it's just not worth it. You're going to people are going to be screaming at you, right? So I think for my money playing live, the 40's a better amp. And the reason why is you get more volume, you get an extra 2 channels. You get the crunch channel, the clean channel, which you get 2 crunches, and then that ultra gain. The 20 only has the ultra gain and the clean. So you get you sort of, they call it classic crunch, but it really isn't. It sounds more like a clean channel. So they're the considerations that I would take into account. I like the 20 watt amp too. I think it's a really good amp, but for live players, the 40 is the way to go. You can switch it down to 20 watts. So you get that flexibility as well. It's just heavier too. So keep that in mind. Mustang GTX 100 review, please. It is coming. I spoke about that in the last live stream, but whenever Sky Music get one in, they said they'd let me know. And unfortunately, all of that stuff right now, deliveries it's getting harder to get stuff. I've had stuff that's been in the mail for nearly a month, just on the cusp of this happening in other parts of the world that now not. I haven't, still hasn't turned up to the house. So the shops have been affected by this as well. But whenever I can get my hands on one of those, I will. I don't really want to buy one. From what I've already heard on YouTube, listening to Fender's, product guys do the videos, I'm not overly impressed. I got to tell you, it sounds really sort of trebly and a little bit nasty. So I'm hoping they've just fixed that 3D. This is the problem with those reviews. I don't know why the people who work for Fender only do reviews of those on the presets. Like, make some great custom sounds for them and show what they can do. I don't understand the logic. I watched a couple of other videos on YouTube as well. I didn't like any of the sounds I was hearing. I was like, oh no. But then they're going, oh, we've just gone through the presets. It's like, you're missing the point of these amps. Let me scroll down. What are my thoughts on Supro amps? I think they make some of the nicest sounding amps I've ever played. But they also make some of the heaviest amps I've ever picked up. And that for me is a deal breaker. The Royal Reverb, amazing amplifier. The Rhythm Master, it's beautiful. And they're the two that I would consider buying if I was in my 20s. They're just too heavy. They really are. They're expensive and they're heavy, but they sound so good. They really do. So that the Rhythm Master, man, what an amp! It's got a 15-inch speaker in there, and it's mighty. And the Royal Reverb has 2 10s, I think, and yeah, it's the sound of the gods. It's really good. Hey Shane, are there any guitar finishes that I think are overused? That's an interesting question. Probably this. Yeah, the sunburst look. I don't mind the sunburst look, but yeah, I think it's starting to get overdone. I would say another color that's starting to get used a lot too is yellow. You know, you're seeing that a lot more lately too. So yeah, it suits some guitars more than others, as does sunburst. So yeah, they're the ones that I would say are easily the most. You know, every time I look online for a Strat, you know, I might just Google Strats, you know, in different shops or whatever, and always comes up with one that looks like this. What's the next shape of the PRS? It's called a flat wide. So it's slightly wider this way, and it's quite thin, but it feels great to play. That's the thing. Like, I would normally go for a guitar like that because I don't like standard Strat necks very much because of how thin they are. Even this is a bit too thin for me, but it just works. You know, sometimes stuff just is fine to play, and the PRS easily one of the easiest. Going to buy a Tube Screamer Green Mile through my Harley Benton American True Tone. Oh, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. That'll work fine, man. I played through those American True Tones. Is that the American sound pedal? Is that their clone of the Joyo, of the Tech 21? That'll work fine. What are my thoughts on Chapman guitars? You know, I've only really picked up a few off the wall at a shop once and at a guitar show. And this was back in the early days of, I think, their first series of guitars, and they were so heavy. I wasn't a big fan. I didn't really see the hype behind them either because I'm not a big fan of those channels. Yeah, I just don't watch Andertons. Not because for any other reason than I haven't watched them for years. I think what put me off, I knew when they released the Fender Mustang video, they did a lot of post-production on it and kind of oversold how great they sounded on the Mustang GTs. It kind of put me off them after that, and I've seen some other videos that are a little questionable as well. Being that I make content, I can spot stuff like that. And they're lovely guys, right? I have no issues with them or anything. But in terms of the guitars, they just never appealed to me. They were more of a younger guitar player, sort of rock guitar. I didn't really see them as, for a guy like me who would want to buy one of those. It just wasn't my style. With they had the what's the sign called? The figure eight, the infinity sign thing. So yeah, it's just a little bit too metal for me, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the guitars per se. Like, I think they're probably fine. I just haven't been in a situation where I've been able to play like all of their lefties. It just hasn't happened. The one guitar that was lefty that I picked up weighed a ton, and there was another one at a guitar show, which was like it just wasn't my style. It was a pointy. I don't really like pointy guitars. So yeah, that's my honest opinion of them. I've never been that excited by their brand or whatever. It just hasn't excited me. And if you like them, that's fine, right? Like, everyone likes different stuff. I like boring stuff. So yeah. Guy Marzello says, thanks, man. I appreciate the super chat. He says, thanks for your impartial, honest reviews. Keep up the good work. Stay healthy. Thanks, mate. You too. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always good to sort of throw in your experience into a review if it's called for. There's sometimes where if you've played something very similar to something else, then you've got something to judge it by. And I think I've tested that much gear over the years that it's getting easier to do that the more and more that sort of happens. So thank you. I appreciate it. How to phrase better in blues. So there was something I've been thinking about a lot more lately, and that's playing off the two. So, say you're playing over a 12 bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Most people will play on the 1. But you want to play off the 2. It gives you a little bit more space. So it'd be like 1, 2. It'll give you something different to think about instead of just playing as soon as the chord gets hit, play off it a beat, right? So that's the 2. So you can look at it like that. If you want to improve your phrasing, just slow down and think to yourself, Albert Collins or B.B. King. So you want that conversation thing. You want to play a little bit of low stuff, followed by a bit of high stuff. Just something simple like that. You can even play the same thing low and high. Just to give you some work out that's a really good way of, find a lick you can move around a bit, play it to some extent in one spot, and then play it a little bit differently in the other. Just phrasing's all about not overplaying, really. That's all it is. So a great way to do that, and this is not what you do when you play live, but a great way to work this out is to put on a CD, of a blues CD. And you can either phrase when they phrase on the guitar, or you can phrase on their vocal and stop when they're not singing. And what that will teach you is to stop, right? So, but when you play live, you never solo over someone's vocal. I'm just saying that's a good way of getting the phrasing down. And it helps you kind of understand the rhythmic qualities as well within that. And melodic ones as well. But generally, like, if you just play when someone's singing and then you stop when they stop, that's phrasing. Or, which would be the other way of doing it, is just play guitar when the guitar parts are being played. I did that a lot when I was first learning how to play blues. Was like I heard that from someone. I think it was on that Matt Smith's Guide to Better Blues Guitar video. He did a lot of that phrasing where he'd be playing and then stopping, and it's great. That's what blues is. You don't have to shred. Kirk Pedersen says Chapman guitars are good looking instruments. All the ones I picked up have been lacking for quality control, but maybe I've just been unlucky. Okay, that's interesting. I think you're going to get, any of these mass-produced guitars, you're going to have problems with a few of them. And I would be assuming they're probably going straight from whoever's building them out to the shops, right? So there's no other QC in there. They're just at the mercy of whoever's building them. But, yeah. I remember Bootsy Collins once saying James Brown fired him because he always wanted the band to come in on the one every time and they were too slow for him. Yeah, there's a few different ways. If you understand rhythm, right, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So they're coming in on the 2 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2. So just think about coming in different ways. Like you don't always have to come in as the 1 chord is like you know, you don't always have to come in on the 1. That's another way of looking at it. Best chat on any gear channel. Thank you, Larimo. I appreciate that, mate. Hey, Shane, out of all the artist guitar models you have played, what was your favorite? I have two, really. Like, I really loved the Tally with the 2 humbuckers, but it was so heavy. Like, that was a really great guitar. In terms of the best one in terms of fit and finish and quality control and playability would be their Les Paul. After thinking about it for a while, I think that would be their best one. That they had a lot of duds a while back, right? Like they weren't right. The posts were sticking out funny and things weren't right. And then they got them made at a different place, and they were like infinitely better, right? So that last one that I did a review for was probably my favorite out of all of them. The 335 was pretty nice too, but their Les Paul with the bullbuckers, whatever it was called, the LP 59 or 56 or something like that, that was a really great instrument. It really was. Like, you couldn't fault it. The finish was beautiful. It played well. It looked cool. The pickup sounded great. It was packed beautifully. It was, a lot to like about that one. The Tally was really good. It was just way too heavy. It was heavier than the Les Paul. It was like 3 of these all bolted together. All Chapman guitars brought in April come with 1 hour Skype lessons. Oh, there you go. Very cool. Let's have a look down here. What's my thoughts on modeling amps, reliability, and servicing repairs? Yeah, that's a good question as well. I think the first thing that's going to go in any of these modeling amps is the Class D power section. And it's not always the case, but I remember I played the Fender Mustang GT live. The first night I had it out, it blew up. No, second night I had it out, it blew up. No, it was the first. It was the first night I had it out, it blew up. Because after that, I then took it out and played it live again a few times. I could never get it to work anywhere near as good as this Tone Master down here. So, like valve amps, the quality is going to change from brand to brand or price to price as well to some extent. I think in terms of how I almost feel like most of these digital modeling amps, and I'm not going to put this in the equation, I mean in traditional ones, they're almost disposable. Like if a Fender Mustang dies or a Marshall Code or any of these other amps, I kind of feel like rather than spending 2 hours trying to troubleshoot it and getting parts, they're just going to throw it in the bin and give you another one. I almost feel like that would be how that would happen if they're under warranty. I know a lot of guys still who have the older Fender Mustang version 2s, and they're still going strong. So I don't think they're inherently less reliable. I just think it comes down to who's making them and how well they're made. So, yeah, I almost feel like the parts aren't as easily... Like, I pulled apart a Mustang, right, on camera, and it was just like an Arduino board, and it just wasn't really like a lot going on in there that looks like it was recoverable or serviceable. So, yeah, I could be wrong about that. I'm not a technician, but yeah. scroll back up here. Thanks for these, Shane. It helps me make it through the night. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that, man. It's good for me to do this as well. So, someone asked me about Tosh. Jake says, have I ever reached out to distributors in Australia to get a wider variety of gear to demo? Be cool to see some different gear to the usual. I always try to do different stuff. I think, like, you know, I've got Sky Music I can borrow a lot of stuff from as well. The problem is, like, I don't really want to deal with distributors in Australia. I really don't. There's going to be logistic problems, and they're not going to want to really send stuff out. I already know. Like, they're stuck in the 1980s. So, yeah, it's just not really an option. But in terms of, like, Sky Music's got a lot of stuff, and they let me borrow pretty much whatever I want. But over the last sort of 6 months, or no, since probably the store, not that long, but since like November or December, I haven't borrowed anything from the store. A lot of what you've seen is stuff that I've different kind of content as well, and stuff that I've purchased as well. So yeah, just I mix it up from time to time, but we'll see how we go. There might be someone. Actually, I'll tell you what. It's funny how it works. The channel's big enough. I get a lot of emails from people going, "Hey, do you want to try this? Do you want to try that?" I say no to a lot of stuff. I don't say yes to everything, because I always have to think about, like, is this in the benefit of what I'm doing or not now? Because I find, like, a lot of gear videos, people aren't coming to my channel for that as much anymore. They are for guitars and they are for amps, but in terms of pedals and other types of, products, it's just not. There's not a market really on my channel for that as much as there was. Comparison videos there are, but yeah, I'm sort of sticking to kind of what works at the moment as well. But that said, there is a pretty cool guitar company that I said yes to yesterday. So we'll see if that happens. It's going to be a great lefty, something very different. Not what I was expecting to get in, but I love the look of it. And yeah, I'm like, I'll do a video, absolutely. So right now too, like I mentioned earlier, it's a little harder to sort of, companies are closing down, or they're shut for a while, or they've only got an online team and you can't go in and grab stuff. So yeah, things are a little bit limited in terms of what I could get for the channel. That's why I bought those microphones and a few other things, just to mix it up and put some videos out there that are a bit different, but also different brands, and just to see kind of if any of this other stuff works along the way. Now, I know a lot of those videos won't get hits from the regular subscribers, but people looking for those videos will hopefully subscribe if they enjoyed the video. So that's the plan. Just mix it up. But you're right, a wider selection of stuff would be cool, but I don't really want to have to go out of my way all of the time to pick stuff up. It's not very time efficient. What's my number one favorite guitar in my arsenal? That kind of changes from week to week, but I'm loving the ones you see behind me. My 50s Tally, which you can just see the corner of over here, the original one. The Tokai's got a new lease on life. That thing sounds so great now. PRS and the Gibson with the P90s is great. I wouldn't say the Gibson with the P90s is my favorite. I'd say probably, either my Tally or the Flying V would be pretty hard to beat right now. I love both of those. We might change guitars up in a sec too. I'm going to play clean the entire stream. Hey, Sonia, welcome. How you doing? Really like your reviews on the other channel too. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm putting a bit more time into that now. I've got a couple of videos on the way, which is cool. They're a lot more time consuming. I have to really think about what it is I'm putting in those videos. I never script my In the Blues ones. Sometimes I have a list of stuff that I think about beforehand, but I never script any of my videos. So yeah, on that one, I've started like putting a lot of notes in my computer just to go, okay, I need to make sure I mention all of this stuff. Otherwise the tech Nazis will come down on you hard. Have I ever flipped a guitar upside down and set it up to work that way? That's from Mars, number 1. No. Oh, look, I've done that just in a pinch with acoustic guitars. If I've traveled, someone's got one, they don't play it, I flip it up the other way and restring it. But no, the quick answer is I can't play a right-handed guitar upside down. The times I've tried, I'm forever knocking the volume and tone controls with my arm. I just can't get used to, you know, your muscle memory, it sits in a certain spot. Now, if I was to do that with this, it's hard because I'm not right-handed. My arm hits the controls non-stop. It's just the way that I play, right? There's something about the way I strum or the way my arm sits. I can't do this, sorry. It's like, yeah, that hits these. And I'm forever knocking the controls. Yeah, Jamal's used to. Jamal's a lefty who plays right-handed guitars up the other way, and because I never started with that, I always started with a lefty. I just, you get used to what you're used to, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Eric Gales does that as well. He's a monster. It's just I don't really want to accommodate my arm. I'm so used to playing the way that I play in terms of how it sits on the guitar and all that kind of stuff that I would really have to. I'd have to play differently, and I know that wouldn't be good for me personally. I don't use, I think that's supposed to say amps at all anymore. I've been using the Fractal Audio for a few years now. With the FX3, don't see a need for anything else. Well, yeah, that's it. You got to use what works for you, and whether that's an all-in-one pedal or a amp style thing you can just plug into your studio monitors, or if you go live to a PA system that works well, then yeah, just use whatever works. I get asked this every stream about my posters, so I'm just going to give you the quick answer. Check out a video called Bluesing Up My Wall. That'll give you the answer. So, yeah, I just get them printed locally. When I first started playing lefty guitars, I was rare as hen's teeth. That's why I played right-handed. That makes sense. I think a lot of guys were like that back in the day too. Like Knopfler's a lefty that plays right-handed. Almost heard something in my head there. Hang on. I don't know what that is, but yeah. 185 people here. Welcome, everybody. If you're new to the channel and you got a question, feel free to ask. Probably go for 2 hours today because I think the last time was like 3 hours or something. My throat was fried. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I know it's there's a lot of crazy stuff going on everywhere right now. So, yeah, this is good for me too. I appreciate it. Why I'm a believer in just one guitar. You can only really get used to one really good. I don't know about that. I don't feel like that's the case. You know, I used to tell Dr. Rick this for years. He goes, "Oh, I can't play a Les Paul. I always feel like this neck, the way that the neck's angled is a problem." And he used to have all these excuses. I said, "Mate, just play it for a week. Just play nothing else for a week, and you'll forget that you ever had an issue with it." And I was right. Like, he bought a Les Paul and he loves it. So, yeah, it's what you get used to. If you don't put any effort into a guitar that you buy that's different, you're never going to get used to it. So I, I remember the first time I went to Jerry's Lefty Guitars and I played, 50 different electrics. I struggled. I wasn't very good at it because I wasn't used to it. And over the years now, I can pick up any lefty that plays well and that's set up okay and play it. I don't think too much about it because you just mess around for a bit and then you're good to go. But yeah, it's whatever you get used to. I really don't feel like only that one guitar is what you can do. It's more of a mental thing, like a lot of people might think that, but you're only limiting yourself by thinking that way, really, like with anything. Try to play hard solos, improve your technique, or is it better to play what's possible to me? So you got to work within your limitations and then also try to push yourself a little bit as well. So what I mean by that is find something you love the sound of, like a lick or a solo that you really love, and you can recall it just by humming it. If you can hum along to it, or if you can hum it without the song being played, even if it's just a 5-10 second section of it, then half the battle's there. If you can't hear it in your head, you're never going to be able to recall it, right? Unless you drill it in. So anytime I'm learning a new song, I listen to it over and over and over again. Like in the car, I'll have it on. If I'll have it on at home, I'll have it on loop. I just want to burn it into my brain. Jamal says he finds Les Pauls really easy to play. Yeah, they are. They are easy. They're a different guitar to a Strat. The scale length makes a huge difference to how the bends feel. You got to work a bit harder on a Strat. I don't know if this is the same scale length as a normal Fender. I think it would be, but yeah, when I bought that TV yellow one, and still I haven't changed the strings on it, right? Like I've still got the same strings that were with the guitar. It's too easy to bend on, so I'm going to put 11s to 48s on there, 46 or 48s or something like that, because it is quite a lot easier. My Tokai though, yeah, and the reason why it's easier too is it doesn't have the Tune-o-matic bridge. You've only got the tailpiece wraparound one. So let's change guitars anyway. All right, so I got 4 guitars behind me. I got the PRS, I've got the Gibson with the P90s, I've got the Tokai with the humbuckers, and the Fender 50s original Tele. So we'll see what everybody says. And while we're waiting on that, I'll have a quick drink here. What do I think about the Bosch GT1 effects pedal board? I have it and I'm very comfortable with blues effects. I don't think I've actually tried one of those, mate. They look good. They really do. I saw one I've seen them around. I've definitely seen them around. But yeah, I haven't actually used one before. So that might be something on the to try list. Got to run, guys. Thanks. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. It's on my Les Paul Studio. Too heavy, couldn't get on with it. Weight or scale length never felt right. Yeah, you're gonna find some guitars that are like that where you just can't bond with them. It's happened to me too. I've made mistakes where I've bought guitars and just gone, oh no, what have I done? And no matter what you try, you just don't love it. That can happen. But I think if the guitar plays well and it feels good to play, and you might not be used to that style of guitar, you can definitely still get used to it. Have I ever met Courtney Barnett? I haven't. No, I don't know who that is. Lefty guitarist. All right, cool. Might be looking to getting a Telecaster. Would you go for a custom shop or the American vintage? Sorry to spam. No, you're right. Sorry if I didn't answer your question before. I apologize for that. Sometimes I miss stuff. I would say, like, if you can afford a custom shop one and there's one there that you love and it's not going to debilitate you financially, go for it. But I really feel like the one that I've got, I've played custom shop tallies before. The original series stuff is as close to the custom shop as you're going to get without having to spend an extra $2,000. That law of diminishing returns thing is absolutely true. That the only major difference between like a custom shop one and mine is if you want the relic job or if you want, the fancy case. Well, actually, mine comes with a fairly fancy case as well, but I really don't feel like that's any disadvantage over a custom shop. So it also depends on the level of playing and your ability and if you're looking long term. I always say get the one that you really want long term, even if it's a bit more expensive, because you'll end up wanting that at some point if you're not happy with the guitar you choose. Excuse me. Yeah, but I reckon the original 50s tallies are some of the best I've ever played. That's why I bought it. I've got a 52 reissue. I love that guitar. It's probably my all-time favorite electric guitar I've ever owned. So I wasn't looking for a Telecaster. I picked that up and I was like, oh, this is an unbelievable guitar. And I've played a lot of customs. Actually went and played some custom shop Strats the other day. I didn't like them. I didn't like them as much as the original Series 50s one. So, food for thought there too. What time is it there? It is 12:13 p.m. Doug J, thank you so much, mate. I appreciate that. Far out. 10, I always get it's the pound sign. I always get the pounds and the euro sign confused, but thank you. I do appreciate that. Thanks, mate. I couldn't bomb with the John Mayer Fender Strat. I had to sell it. Yeah, I know a lot of people who have had that actually and flipped it. They didn't like it. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I hadn't played one, but a good mate of mine had one for, I don't know, less than a year, and he sold it. So he went back to like some sort of 60 Strat or something like that. Not an original, but like a reissue. Some guitars have a purpose. Hate to play my Tokai Les Paul special, but for studio work, great. Not great, not live though. Oh, gotcha. Okay. TV with the P90s. All right, we'll grab that. I'm gonna tune this up. One, because it's a Gibson, and two, because this room isn't favorable for tuning. So, where's my good tuner gone? It's hiding. Yeah, it's always sharp in this room because of the cold. So we'll see if this sounds any different to the lipstick pickup guitar we were just playing before, which doesn't actually sound like a Strat. It sounds quite a bit different to a regular one. All right, here we go. This is so much louder. Hopefully that's not clipping. I guess we'll find out. Oh. Ah! What happened? Lost sound. Oh, I didn't click that in properly. Here we go. God, I was thinking, did my amp just die? No way. Sounds a bit out. Sort this out. This sounds about twice as loud as the other guitar. Easily in the room. It is. That's why I was just checking my levels. Oh yeah, that's out. I gotta really put new strings on this. Like I said, I still haven't done it since I bought it. The finger ease makes my strings last longer. I'm sure of it. It really makes it easy. The Sir P90s are awesome, and it doesn't, and has a noise cancellation feature that doesn't suck tone. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Sir make great stuff. I've tried a number of those over the years. I don't know if I've actually played their P90s. I don't think I have. 2:15 a.m. in the UK. Far out. I was up late last night as well. It's one of those. Yeah, I got sucked into watching videos. All right. What do you feel the difference is between the Les Paul Special and the Les Paul Junior DC? In terms of feel, I think this, like, I haven't played all the different models, but the lefty that I've played didn't have the binding. It also didn't have, I think, quite as fat of a neck as this as well. So I think it was more of a neck shape thing. I think it had a somewhat chunky neck, but this surprised me how big the neck was. So they're probably a pretty similar guitar. I know some of them look a bit more bare bones, like the finishes aren't like this. And, you know, I know TV Yellow's not for everybody, but I know some of them don't have that high gloss thing. They've got more of a sort of like that painted wood look or stained wood look as opposed to like a gloss. And these aren't things that really inherently affect the sound or anything like that, but I think the thing that really I instantly loved about this was the fact the neck was as big as it is and it had the binding. I just liked visually how that looked, but then also how light it was as well. I can't say that. Yeah, look, I can't remember actually if the juniors were as light as this. I really can't, but they might be. Would be surprised if they're too much different. Jeff says, hey, Shane, to the folks flouting the isolation rules at the 1,000 steps bother you? I loved yelling them at my window the other day. Wow, I'm not that close to there, but yeah, I wondered if that place had actually shut the gate properly or not. But yeah, so for those who don't know, there's this place everybody goes to, and they walk up a massive flight of stairs outside, and yeah, I'm sure there'd be way too many people there still, sadly. So. Loma Holger says, hey, Shane, do you think people too much focus on gear versus actually playing? Probably. I mean, I've been guilty of that as well. So, yeah, but for me too, I'm always looking to play live first and foremost. Someone said, oh, you can't buy any more instruments. Or if someone said to me, do you want to keep what you've got and play live, or halve your collection and play live? Or do you want to just not play live and keep buying more gear? I would take the halve my collection and play live route. 100%. There'd be no questions about it. So it's fun to find new gear. It's fun to test new stuff. But it still has to come down to wanting to play. I think the things that inhibit that at all Like whether it's complexity in pedals or amps or anything that's too complicated will stop you just from plugging in and playing. It's the sad truth of it. So I really feel like, yeah, there is. It's like anything. It's the same with tech, right? Like I watch a lot of camera channels, and you get suckered into wanting the next camera or the one that you're waiting for, but it comes down to how you use it, right? Like it's not really the camera that's doing anything magical. It's about your lighting and about the lenses and how you have it set up and how you use it. So same with instruments. It's not really something that um, you don't necessarily need everything that comes out every year. That's why I don't watch NAMM videos. I feel like there's more than enough stuff right now for the next 100 years. You know, I really don't feel like we need that much more stuff. And there's not a whole lot of innovation out there either. There's a few things that come up that are maybe a little bit different and sort of like it's the clickbait effect. It's not really something that anyone asked for, but it's there, you know? So there is that sort of gear mentality when it comes to playing guitar. I'm always looking for stuff as well. Like I'm not always looking for stuff, but I like to. Sometimes I hear someone play a guitar and I'm like, I wonder if that's in a lefty. So I look, but then at the end of the day, it really comes down to how you play and not playing or sounding like whoever it is you're trying to sound like. You're never gonna, even with the same setup, you're not gonna sound like that person. So it has to be about the playing, but the gear part of it is definitely fun. There's no doubt about it. Joe Bonamassa plays one with a humbucker, apparently his favorite guitar. Cool. You know, when I was where was it? Copenhagen a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, or whatever. I didn't buy it. I was at a shop called Four Sound Music, and they had a lefty. It was a high gloss Les Paul Jr. with a single P90. It was really nice. I was so close to pulling the trigger on it. It was a beautiful guitar. I just didn't want to have to carry it around with me. It was just when you travel and you get a guitar, it's a nightmare. It really is. But it was a really cool guitar that I would take over some of the sort of like the lesser finished ones. It had that two-tone sunburst thing as well, like I showed you before on that other Strat. It had that kind of look. So I was like, oh man, another one. You know, like it is an overused look, but overall, it was a great guitar, and that was really close. But I prefer this. This was lighter. Yeah, I don't know. I just love this thing. I think it's really cool. Thanks, Laramo. Take it easy, man. Yeah, I heard Four Sound closed. That sucks. That shop was awesome, man. Such a great store. That's part of the reason I want to do this Guitar Search Saturdays thing too, because you know shops come and go. It's always good to have something up about the stores. Like people will, whether they're still open or not, it's a good series because yeah, it's sort of like a memory of it for people who might be in the area or you know people who are who are big fans of that place. Like Guitar Search Saturday. That's kind of the plan I had for this year was to film lots of them, but. Yeah, it does suck, but yeah, I can only imagine. We'll see how many guitar shops shut after all of this is said and done. I think it'll be a bit of a nightmare for music stores. I need more. Anyone who asks me a question about anything without context to anything, just put some context in there. I'm not sure what that question is. PRS Custom 24 SE Roasted Maple. Like, what's the question? I don't get it. Oh, what's that chord? I think I hit this by accident. It sounds like a minor. Oh. Oh, I'm getting an error here saying my stream's about to glitch. So sorry guys. Hopefully that's not too bad. Thanks, Rice Gaming. Appreciate that. This is, mate, thanks for your videos, man. I've been loving them for years. Thank you. Appreciate that. What's going on with my stream? Anyway, hopefully it's all right. Difference between the camera geeks and guitar geeks is that camera geeks always want the latest and greatest stuff, and the guitar geeks always want the old stuff. Yeah, you're right. There is a lot of that. I really don't... I was talking to Rick about this the other day. I don't think a guitar is good just because it's old. You know, I highly doubt a guitar from the 50s is going to play as good as or as well as a guitar from now. You know what I mean? Like, my experience with that is that's not the case. But you're absolutely right about the camera, guys. It's always the next one or the new one. Do I have any problems with that bridge? No, the only thing that I've noticed about this guitar, it's really easy to overbend. So I always bend too far. So I'm going to try and put heavier strings on to give me a little bit more tension, because it feels like I've got 9s on here, whereas on a Les Paul, I generally put 10s on. So I'm going to put 11s on there, and I'm hoping that will give me enough tension to make it a little bit harder to bend. Yeah, I can easily overbend this one. What are your thoughts on the Analog Man King of Tone compared to the Vemiram? The King of Tone's good, but there's this ridiculous wait. Like, you've got to wait a year to get one. So that, to me, is a deal breaker, man. Like, they're not worth waiting a year for. I think they're a fine pedal, but there's plenty of great dual pedals out there. You know, if you Royal Flush dual overdrive, I would take that in a heartbeat over the King of Tone. Better gain staging. It works really well together. It's easy to get. It's just a really awesome pedal. In terms of the Vemiram stuff, I've never personally owned a Vemiram, but some of my friends swear by those. So the Jan Ray is a really great, kind of like a Fender, what do you call them? Like a deluxe reverb cranked kind of sound. That's kind of what they're doing. If you like that, go for that. That, you know, and Ryan's got the Shanks, which is like I think it's a boost / sort of fuzz pedal. That's what it sounds like. It's got a bit of a full sound to it, and that's cool. That's a really cool pedal, but it costs a fortune too. So, yeah, you're just gonna make sure you're sort of digging what they do before you lash out and buy one. But yeah. Can I please play the tally? I can do that. I'll grab it. I might just tune it up as well. Like I said before, this room throws everything sharp because it gets cold overnight. Yep, same with this one. It's always just that little bit sharp. I wasn't used to that. At my old place, everything stayed pretty consistent, but not here. Oh. This guitar is great. All right. Hattie from Texas. Glad I found another lefty that shows lefty guitars. Thanks, John. I appreciate that, mate. They have the guitar at Sweetwater, $1,600. We'll have to hold off a while on that one. I'm not sure which guitar we're talking about, but yeah. Sorry, I'm not. I must have missed a comment here. Do I notice a significant upgrade in the Marshall DSLC and the CR? It depends. Like the prior version of the Marshall DSL, I didn't really like that much, and I think probably because they put a pretty average speaker in there. It could have been part of the problem. A lot of people were talking about reliability issues with one particular series of them. Not every year or anything like that. There's some of the old ones are still going strong, but yeah, I was pretty much talked out of buying one a while back, and I didn't really like the sound of it either. I was there with my friend Brian, and then I played the CRs, and I went, "Oh wow, what's going on here? This sounds amazing." So yeah, I don't know. I haven't done a direct comparison, but the first C that I played from a couple of years back wasn't anywhere near as immediately gratifying as the CR. But it could also be the way that people dial them in as well. So yeah. Sounds great. Thanks, man. I missed those P90s already. Sorry, Stacks. What are your thoughts on jazz blues playing 6th, 9th, 13th chords? Oh, all day. Like, I use a lot of those sort of chords always when I play. There's one thing you probably won't see me do a whole lot, and that's play a bar chord 7th. Unless I'm playing like a funk. Then usually if it's with a band, I'm playing the last half of the chord. I'm never really playing the low note a lot, unless I'm on my own. So yeah, when you're playing different chords, it's what gives the rhythm some sort of classiness, I guess, rather than just playing like 7ths like that. You know, come up with other chords. Yeah, so work out a few of the other chords. T-Bone Walker, man, totally underrated player. At least I assume so. Some of the best chords and technique at all time for playing parts. Like, yeah, you want to really just work on finding bits of chords. You know, like there's instead of playing a 7th, you can go like just play the bottom bit. So you're playing the note on the G. Or, you know, it's much more interesting than just I bought the new Sunburst Mexican Strat in 2017, and it feels like it's one of those last good Mexican Strats I could buy. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. The guitars have changed slightly. I think there's something different about the Player Series ones in terms of the neck. There's something feels different in the neck shape of those. But yeah, I don't think they're bad guitars by any means. I think they're pretty good. I think just every few years Fender like to mix things up, you know. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Schecter has a lot of lefties. Yeah, some of their stuff's actually pretty good. You know, if you asked me a few years ago, I'd be like, not a chance. But I'd be interested. But they're making a lot of traditional style guitars. Something a little bit different. borrow this question. Has he thought about not being a douchebag? Have you or anyone else tried the Yamaha Revstar 500 series guitars? Interested in picking one up? They don't make lefties. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is about Yamaha. They just don't do it. You know, like, I don't know what the deal is with that. But yeah, I really don't. I don't really get it. They just don't do it. So if they made a lefty, I'd love to try one. I have a lot of people asking me about the Revstars, but yeah. Have I heard of Barry Cadogan? I don't know that, no. Have you or anyone else here tried the Yamaha? Oh, sorry, that's the same question. If I buy a Harley Benton Tele and I change the pickups, will it sound near a Fender? Yeah, it might, but the pickups in there are pretty good. You know, I did a video recently about this guitar being at one end of the spectrum and a Harley Benton Telecaster. You might want to watch that, because if you can't hear a difference, then the difference isn't worth it to you. But, you know, having something sound like another guitar isn't always, it doesn't give you the same feel, you know, and that's what it comes down to. It's a feel thing. It's just such a cliche thing to say, but it really does make a difference. How the neck feels in the hand, you know, how everything else responds. There's a difference there, but in terms of tone, you can get it to sound pretty similar. Guitar Hack, welcome, man. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. How much does string thickness change the tone of a guitar? I don't know. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Like, I used to play 12s to 12 to something at one point. It had a wound G on my 335. This is going back a long time ago. But then I went back to 11s on everything, and then I went back to 10s, and I'm like, it sounds pretty much, I don't know if there's a difference tone-wise, you know, so yeah, not too sure. I have a crappy guitar and I put a Mexican Fender pickup in it. It sounds great. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going from a guitar that has terrible pickups and you put a set of Gibson or Fender pickups or something like that in there, it's going to sound great. But there is a point where there's not that much difference sometimes. The thing with a Telecaster in particular, the thing that I think separates like a really good one and an average one is the neck pickup. Getting a Tele to sound like that on the neck, it's got like almost a strattiness to it. Oop. That brightness isn't always there on a lot of neck Tele pickups. They usually sound a bit like this. Not like that. Even that is brighter than some of them sound. I looked for a long time to find a Tele that had instantly a great neck pickup tone. Sometimes they're a bit of that, you know, the darker sort of woolly sounding ones. Let me just scroll up here. Thank you, Sonia. Appreciate that. No advertising, spamming, or insults will be allowed. Thank you. Yeah, no. It's not a good time to be. You know, no one wants to deal with that. So thank you. My Variac single coil sounds so different. Oh, sorry. The chat moves and then it's hard to read. So let me try this again. My Variac single coil Strat. Oh, single coils sound just different enough from a Strat to be interesting rather than a clone. So that's a good thing too. Yeah, if you can find a guitar that sounds different, like even if you're a Strat guy only, but you find one with a different combination of pickups that work really well, that's a cool thing too. How versatile would I say my Gibson Les Paul Special is? Very. Those P90s are great. They really are. You get you can play country licks on that guitar in both pickups or bridge pickup. You can get that big, clean similar sound to this, but just a bit hotter. Or not a similar sound. It is different, but it has more attitude. So it can do classic rock, blues. P90s are really like, I think everyone knows they're really good, right? But I feel like the best rhythm sounds still are generally, and this is just a generalization, strats and tallies. You know, you turn down, it keeps all the clarity. For that clean sort of low volume sound, they're really hard to beat. That's why I got the treble bleed mod put in the humbucker guitar back there, because it can do this at a low volume, which is something that most humbucker guitars can't do well. But the P90 Les Paul Special is a bit of a great all-rounder. It really is. You know what? Jimmy asks, does my Tele have ceramic pickups or Alnico? I can't remember. I can't remember. But I just put a review up of this at guitarpedaldemos.com. I also have done videos on this in the past where I have mentioned the pickups. I just can't recall off the top of my head. All the specs on this are on my article about it. Very cool pickups either way. I try not to let that bother me too much, what the pickups are actually made with which magnets and all that kind of thing. I just use my ears. If I like them, they're good. But yeah, I'm not too sure off the top of my head. Do I still have an AC-15? I bought one a few years back and it's so good. I don't have one anymore. I played Vox amps exclusively for quite a while live. An AC-30 and an AC-15. The AC-30 was great. It was too heavy. The AC-15 was good, but unfortunately it wasn't loud enough for a lot of the places I was playing at. And plus, I think I went through a phase with it where I played them for so long, like a good few years. And then I just went back to the Fender sound. I kind of miss the Vox sound to some extent, especially with the Telecaster, I think, and a Les Paul. They're the kind of guitars that really shine through them, in my opinion. Oh, sorry. Someone asked me about, thank you, Sonia. Says, question was asked about what are you using for audio right now? So my voice microphone is here. It's a Rode NTG1. It's a shotgun mic, and that's going through a DBX compressor or rack unit. But my amp is just getting mic'd up right now with a Behringer SM57 clone, which just came out. Well, it came out a little while ago, but I just got my hands on that one. The Fender Twin is on 5-watt mode. So, yeah. Could you try the overtones on the 5th fret with pickup in neck position? Could I try the overtones on the 5th fret? What do you mean by that? I'm not too sure what you mean. Yeah, I don't know what you mean. You mean like that? I'm not too sure what that question means. Sorry, man. I don't get it. Tele sounds amazing. Thanks. Yeah, I love this thing. I had no expectations on buying this. So percussive. That's both pickups just then at the end there. I got the Harley Benton T52 and it sounds nothing like it in neck position. Yeah, there is a difference. I did a shootout between this and that. It's also, keep in mind too, right? Like the tone I've got dialed in on this amp, I've got the bright switch on. I've got the amp pretty much mic'd in the center of the cone just because I'm playing at low volumes, and that generally works better as what you're hearing from your side. So I've got my sound card turned up. My amp's actually not loud at all, but I've got a little bit of extra treble on there. But the biggest difference between the biggest difference between like an expensive guitar, not all expensive guitars, but a great neck pickup and an average neck pickup, or what am I trying to say? The biggest difference you'll find with Telecaster at one point, a price and another, won't be the way it plays or the way it inherently sounds. It'll be that neck pickup. That's the difference. That's what I'm trying to get at. Neck pickup on this was what sold me the guitar. How did I form the present band? It was just guys I already knew. I met my drummer at a jam, like a blues jam. This was going back years ago, and I played with him for years. I had a few guys that I can play with if someone can't make it, right? But we all met at jam nights or an open mic night where it was mostly band style stuff. And, you get thrown together, you play. Like, I remember asking my drummer, Mark, at one point, I said, "Hey, man, can you play shuffles?" I didn't know it because I never met him. I'm like, what do you do? Because I just play whatever. And I went, oh, no. So I started off a feel, and I knew instantly it was great. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. So we ended up doing some gigs together and all that kind of stuff. But I don't play with guys in the band that are irritating. I've tried that before. I've tried to work with guys where there's not really, you don't gel personality-wise, and it's never as fun. So you got to try to work with guys that you can chat to outside of music. It's generally a much easier experience. Seeing how I'm tellyless, what would you suggest, the 52 reissue or the original 50s? That's a tough question. But I tell you what, I would go for this one. I love mine because I've modded it. I've got the stainless steel frets in there now because it required the change of frets. So the frets in that are about the same. They're a bit taller than the ones in here, but they're stainless steel. They'll last forever. The biggest criticism I had of my old one was the frets were too short. And they melted away basically. And the neck pickup on that 52 wasn't as nice as this one. The bridge pickup was pretty much the same, but I remember I used to have problems with it squealing when I played with certain amounts of gain. I was like, oh, all right, I can't do that. That's why partly I changed out those pickups to the Joe Bardens, and they're unreal. So that guitar is as good as this, but it took a bit of work. This one they just got right. The only one thing about it that some people might not like, and I thought it was going to be a deal breaker for me, but I loved the sound of it so much. Both pickups together doesn't cancel the hum. I mean, that's just great. I mean, playing dead clean, but I might get my 52 out because there might be a bit of a fun comparison. You can hear how the Joe Barden pickups sound after hearing the single coils and in all their glory. So let me grab it out. It's just right here. This is another guitar, right? Like, I could go a couple of weeks and not play this, pick it up, and I smile. Like, it's one of those kind of guitars. And I didn't feel that way about a lot of the ones that I recently sold. I liked them. They were nice guitars, and they sounded fine and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't have that instant sort of like, oh, man, I love this thing, like. And that's what I'm going to look for in a Strat. I want to find the Strat that makes me want to play it. So let's do this. So here we go. Here's a comparison visually. So they look pretty much the same. Obviously, my old one has got a lot of black wear, like on the body. It's sort of worn out and stained. That's just from playing. The neck on this one isn't as big either. It's still a pretty chunky neck, right? But this is a U-shaped neck. U-shaped necks are beasts. You can generally see it towards. Oh, it's hard to see on camera, but yeah, at the base of where the neck and the headstock is, it's basically flat. There's no contour anywhere. That's how fat the neck is. Whereas on this one, there's a little bit more of angle here. It sort of dips down a bit. This one doesn't. So the U-shaped neck is fat pretty much the whole way across. I just have to tune this up as well, I think. This might be out. Yeah, the original 50s one is easier to get too. The 50s, 52 reissues aren't. Look, you probably find one secondhand, but I don't know if shops even have them anymore. I haven't seen one for ages. The strings on this already, I can tell, need replacing, so we won't hold that against it, but I might just give them a quick one of these. You want to find the Strat that makes you want to play, just get the PRS one. Yeah, no, I'm not probably going to get it. Well, there's a couple of reasons. I don't really feel like the PRS is better than a great Fender Strat. Plus, they don't make lefties. How does that sound? So that's both pickups as well. It's a little louder sounding to my ear, but still got so much tops. Neck pickup on this is unreal, and I already know I need to spray this pot. Jose says, Shane, in America, a lot of us have learned to play in church gospel hymns and the blues rock. In Australia, what's the learning by yourself or friends? You know, early on, I did have some friends that sort of encouraged me to play a bit in like I touched the guitar in primary school, right? So when I was young, I learned a few chords and then I put it down until the end of high school. Then when I went to the States, I met a guy over there, Rob, who was just a great blues player. He could do a lot of cool stuff, and that's what really inspired me to play. And so he showed me like how the progression worked. I remember I couldn't quite remember it all the time, but he showed me how the formula kind of worked. And then it was basically going through. I went through a lot of videos. There was a few videos, but then by that time I already wanted to go jamming, right? I probably wasn't ready to go jamming, but I met a lot of other players who showed me stuff. Or, you know, there's always players that know more than you know out there, as hard as that is to admit for most guitar players. No, I'm, you know, being serious though, like it's easy to pick people's brains. They're generally pretty happy to show you a chord when you're learning, or, you know, I remember learning the ninth chords off my friend Alex. I learnt a lot of stuff off other people over the years. So, but yeah, I think one of the biggest, I always talk about that Matt Smith Beginner's Guide to Blues Guitar video. I really feel like if that's around or online or whatever, check it out. That was a huge help, but it was a lot of listening as well. And, you know, back when I was playing, YouTube wasn't even a thing when I was really getting into it. I was listening to albums and maybe getting some tabs from the internet, but sometimes I was like, this feels like the hard way to play it, you know? And so I ended up just trusting my ear, and no one really showed me many riffs or licks. They were things I worked out on my own or through watching videos. But yeah, there's a handful of licks I've actually been shown, and I reckon I can count them on one hand, where someone's gone, oh, you play this instead. I was like, oh, okay, there it is. But otherwise, yeah, a lot of it is just you force yourself to learn and listen and pick up new stuff. Impressed by the Harley Benton, so bright. How they got? Oh, sorry. Impressed? How they got? Oh, sorry. I'm thinking Harley Benson's humbuckers to be so bright in your Danny Gatton Tally. So the output of these pickups, there's two types, right? The neck pickup is a normal one, a regular. But I bought the hot bridge pickup because Rick had the regular bridge pickup, which is lower output. So this is something like 3.5K or 4K or something. They're not a hot pickup. And I think this is a slightly hotter bridge pickup. It can handle the drive. They got all the brightness in the world, you know. Last time I was playing the neck pickup on this with some drive, it really captured that real Stratty sound. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with these Joe Bidens. You know, in certain places, once we can go play live again, if there's a lot of buzz, in a heartbeat, I would take this over my other one. If I'm playing in a place I know that doesn't have those issues, then I can play either. All right, we're almost at 2 hours, so we might wrap this up pretty soon. I'll take a few more questions. Excuse me. Billy says, I'm lusting after a flying V like yours. I played one at a local shop, and I'm in love after getting used to how it plays there. An unreal guitar, man. The Burst Buck is some of the best pickups you'll ever own. Absolutely. Do you think there's a sound difference between using the guitar cable and using a wireless system? No. In terms of sound, I can't hear any difference. Look, there's some people out there that say, oh, it changes your tone, it does this and that. Back in the early days of wireless systems, when you turn the guitar down, it would get to a point where it would just cut out, right? So it's something to do, well, I should say with the digital ones. With the UHF ones, it was a different thing altogether. But the way that digital works, there's either a signal or there's not. And you could turn your guitar down most of the way with a cable, and it would you'd still have sound. So that's just up from off, right? Off is here. On. So I can hear that coming out of my amp. So there's no problems with most modern digital packs these days. You'll be able to turn all the way almost off before it cuts out. That wasn't the case in the early days. But in terms of sound quality, I can't hear any difference. I actually prefer the Freedom. Last time I did a live stream last week or whatever, I did... I had a lead and it was getting caught in my chair all the time and it was a nightmare. So I thought, nah, I'm going to dig out a wireless pack for today. Shane, question about standard locking versus vintage tuners, differences and preferences. All right, sorry if I missed the question, but thank you. So standard tuners are the most common. They're the string through ones that you'll see on every Stratocaster pretty much ever. I really feel like the vintage ones that they use on guitars like this Tally and other sort of 50 style guitars are way more efficient in terms of being able to change the strings. It takes a little bit of time to get used to this, but once you get used to them, it's so much easier. You can literally just pull the string out and throw it out. You don't have to keep unwinding it or cutting it and then unwinding it. This is much, much easier. Initially, they're not. I hated vintage tuners until I understood how to do them properly. Now I much prefer them. The best ones are locking tuners. By a mile, I used to have them on my old Strat. I've got them on a few guitars at the moment. The Tally from Pure Salem Guitars has it. My Little Crow guitars have locking tuners. They're just by far the most reliable, in my opinion. You put the string through, tighten it up, you're done. You don't have to really think about it that much. You might want to turn it a little bit around the post, but you just don't have to do as much as you do with the traditional one. So locking tuners are worth the extra expense on the most part. I really like them, but for a guitar like this, yeah, I'm happy with the vintage ones. I think they're the best, second best option. So everyone will like different stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments too, because and why as well, whether or not you like the locking, the vintage, or the regular ones. Dalton asks about what's a good affordable wireless system. So I spoke about this before. I'm actually using a brand called Nuix. Where did I put the case? It comes with this really cool case that you can also charge the pack in. So yeah, these Nuix ones are really good. What's the actual model number? Yeah, I can't remember. If you just type in NUX wireless, it'll come up. It comes in a little hard case, so you can charge the hard case and then plug these into the hard case and just put them in your bag and it will charge, for example. Or you can charge the actual packs individually. You can do it either way. It's really cool. These are probably my favorite over all of the others. Hey, Addicted to Gear, welcome, man. There it is, B5RC. Thanks, man. Go check out Tony's channel, guys. Addicted to Gear. If you haven't seen what he does, I join in on his live streams. He's always gone live at like 1:40 a.m. my time. So I'm always like nodding off as I'm laying there listening to it. But not because you're boring, mate. That's not what I'm getting at. It's because it's really, really late here, and I'm like ready to go to sleep, and I see a notification. Oh, you're live. I'll go check it out. How long is the charge on a wireless pack? You know what? I can't remember the specs. I've done a full review of these on my channel, and I listed all the specs. I think you get a good few hours out of them. So, yeah. I love the sound of this thing, man. These buttons are just so good. Let's go to neck pickup on the actual single coil telly. Let's have a listen to this. So this isn't as loud, but it has more sort of has more of a stringiness to it. All right, Michael from Texas, welcome, man. Some old love. That's a great chord progression, man. I love it. Oh. Oh. I don't play like that. I just don't want to bang the guitar on this. In terms of price, like everyone's watching from somewhere else, just Google it. Just Google, go to eBay or something and type it in and see what you can find. I prefer the pickup on the telly. Oh, the Fender pickup. Yeah, fair enough. No, that's all good. Do I still have the Harley? I do have the Harley Benton Jr. Yeah, absolutely. That guitar's great, man. I had it actually out the other day. I filmed a video about a microphone that's coming up. I used it on that. It's awesome, man. I love that guitar. That was the, yeah, something different guitar as well. I really like it a lot. All right, I got 171 people here and 143 likes, so thank you so much for hanging out with me the last 2 hours. I appreciate it. Probably do another one of these later in the week or early next week or something like that. Sorry, my throat's starting to go. 2 hours is about the limit for my my voice, I realize, but yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for all the mods. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks, Jamal. Appreciate that. Everyone else who joined in, Fat Philosopher. Everyone who also did a super chat. Sorry if there was an ad there. I don't know what I just clicked. I was trying to find the super chat list. Is it going to let me do it? Is it going to let me do it? It doesn't look like it. Oh, yeah, it is. All right, so let me do the roll call here. We got Sean, thank you. We got Lefty Mike, thanks, mate. We got Rob as well, Dave, Craig, Guy, and Doug, who used the super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for joining in. It's always fun doing these, so we'll do another one coming up. I'm going to probably do a live stream in my other room next time. There's a bit more sunlight in there. It's sort of a bit depressing being in a dark room with a big light when I could just be sitting out there. So I'll probably mix it up on the next one. Everybody, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. And if I missed anyone with the thank yous there, I do apologize. But I can't seem to scroll up my list here, which is another one. So I've changed streaming views here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's sort of not the normal one that I would normally have. Anyway. All right, guys. Rock on. Have a great night. Have a great day. And we'll catch you soon. Thanks again. And how do I stop this again? Oh, yeah, it's over here. All right. Take care. Thanks again. Thanks, guys.